Can you see and hear me?
Yes, beautiful. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Great. You know, that's the question at the beginning of every call, right? Is the technology.
Yeah. Who am I here? Am I on? Do I look like a cat?
Exactly.
So I know we're giving Ben just another second to hop on. So why don't you, Erica, tell us a little about yourself and your role at Kellogg?
Yeah, so I'll give the brief overview now. And as part of our presentation, I'll go into more of the details. But my name is Erica Jones, and I am Senior Manager of Cultural and Inclusive Marketing at the Kellogg Company. I have been with the company now for 9 years as of this month. Yeah, so really
happy anniversary.
Thank you so much. And I've worked pretty much in a variety of different roles, all within the marketing organization. So everything from cereal to frozen foods to snacks. And most recently, I was leading POP-TARTS innovation on the marketing side. So that was a super fun assignment. And then about a year and a half ago, Kellogg started the Cultural and Inclusive Marketing team, and I was tapped to be a part of that new team. So for the past 18 months or so, I have been a part of our newly established Cultural and Inclusive Marketing team within Kellogg North America, and we work across all of our business units, all of our category teams on really embedding ED&I and inclusive marketing into our organization.
I love it. And that's going to be a little bit about what you're sharing today, specifically about POP-TARTS, from what I saw.
That is correct. So today we will be specifically talking about our POP-TARTS case study, which is, well, we've done several different initiatives on POP-TARTS, but the one we'll be talking about today is Pride and the LGBTQ plus Pride program that we did just this month. So very timely.
I love it. Do you want to go ahead and start sharing that while we're waiting for Ben to join, and we can let him hop along in?
Cool. Let me just get my screen shared. Let's see here, share screen.
It's the other hardest part of any Zoom.
I know, right?
Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you see my screen?
Exactly. Let's see if I can do this here.
All right, there we are.
Okay, so you can see the screen. Okay, wonderful. Okay, and now let me just go into presentation mode. Okay, is that better now?
That's perfect.
Okay, great. And I can still see the video, so that's good. Sometimes with these, it's like I can't see myself on the screen at the same time. So this is awesome. And we will hopefully Ben will be able to get in. I know maybe he might be having some technology challenges, but
I know he's on the way. So
okay, cool. Yep. Okay, cool.
And speak of the devil.
Hello. Oh my gosh.
Welcome,
figuring out
Ben.
Zoom and his register and join meeting in progress, all the clicks, all
the clicks.
Great to see you.
Thanks for joining us. And I'm going to let the two of you take it away, and I will see you afterwards.
Cool. Thank you so much. So
thanks,
Ben, yes, thank you. So Ben, I was just giving a brief overview of myself, like quick, 30 seconds of myself, my role, and how long I've been at the company. And then we can jump into the presentation, but would love for you to also just introduce yourself really, really quickly, and then we'll dive in.
Yeah, looking forward, hopefully, to some robust conversations. So hopefully y'all are pinging in the chat at various points, and then please feel free. So I'm Ben. I'm on Philanthropy and Social Impact in Global Corporate Affairs at Kellogg. And so my job is to focus on taking the brand equities and digging into our ESG strategy as a company and bringing it to life cross-functionally with Erica on multicultural and inclusive marketing, with our business employee resource groups, which I'll get to in a hot sec, with integrated marketing more broadly, our customers, our category teams, and then folks like you and other stakeholders out there in the world, where we can create really amazing partnerships to bring those equities to life in a way that's going to impact the world. We've got a lot going on in the world, and people, as you'll kind of see, want brands to be where they are and help, be a part of their life's experiences in solving problems in their day-to-day life. So that's what I do. I'm also the co-chair of K-Pride and Allies, which is one of our business employee resource groups. We have 8 in the US, and we'll get to that in the presentation, but so excited to be here.
Great. Thank you so much, Ben. And I'm really excited for this presentation and sharing more about how we've collaborated together. So what we're going to do, we have about 30, 40 minutes or so. We just did introductions, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about ED&I and our cultural and inclusive marketing team at Kellogg. Then I'll talk a bit about the employee resource groups, and Ben will then do a bit of a double click into the K-Pride group. And then we will talk about the case study, which is the Pop-Tarts Pride. And Ben has worked very closely on this. So he'll be sharing a lot on that and how he's partnered with the brand team on that in his role within the company. And then we'll close out and see if there are any questions or discussions. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So just want to set the scene here and just remind everyone that, you know, the Kellogg company has really been committed to diversity all along. And our vision is really a good and just world where people are not just fed, but fulfilled. And we want to make sure we're creating better days and a place at the table for everyone, really, through our food and through our initiatives and communities. So that is at our core, and you'll see that come through in a lot of the work that we do. So really excited about that. And so I talked a little bit about the cultural and inclusive marketing team at the beginning, but I want to go into a few more details. So as you know, a lot of companies really doubled down on their ED&I commitments a couple of years ago. And so Kellogg was a company that, you know, also wanted to make sure that we were really leaning in even more to our efforts that were already underway. And so our team was established about 18 months ago, so the beginning of 2021, and it's really focused on cultural and inclusive marketing within the KNA, or Kellogg North American organization. So we work across our cereal, snacks, and salty. We have a lot of different business units. I won't go through them all, but you know, all of our different business units, you know, frozen veggie, et cetera, on really how do we embed ED&I into our strategies, you know, brand strategies, brand plans. So obviously we have quite a few brands in our portfolio, and though we work across all the brands, there are a few priority brands that we work with in each of the categories. So for example, within our portable wholesome snacks portfolio, Pop-Tarts and Rice Krispie Treats, for example, are two of the key brands there that we collaborate with. And so really our work is focused on 3 major areas. It's people, go-to-market, and industry and partner leadership. When it comes to people, we partner with our ED&I group, which is a separate corporate group, to really help focus on our ED&I talent goals. So that could be recruiting, et cetera, for new talent within the marketing organization. We also focus on professional development. So that's doing trainings and various seminars and sessions to make sure that our marketers are, you know, receiving all of the latest and greatest tools and information on, you know, why this is so important and best practices on how to do that. A lot of our time is spent in go-to-market, and so this is working with the brands on, you know, everything from assignment briefs to creative review, looking at scripts, casting, et cetera, all the way into experience planning, you know, looking at influencer strategy, even the media buying that we do, et cetera. And then finally, industry and partner leadership. So that is making sure that we are connecting with industry groups like Brand Innovators, making sure that we are hearing more of what other companies are doing, learning and sharing. And that's really an exciting part of our work as well. And then finally, supplier diversity. So making sure that our suppliers that we're using, our vendors, are also diverse and really embedding that into how we do our work. So I know I went through quite a lot there. I could spend way more time on this, but I'm not going to, because we definitely want to get to Ben's portion and talk about this exciting Pop-Tarts case study. But that's an overview. So it keeps us busy. There are 3 of us on our team. So we are in back-to-back meetings all day, every day, most of the time. But I think we all are, right? Okay, so moving on, and I kind of touched on this before, our ED&I vision is really about being a best-in-class company for diversity and inclusion. So, you know, we want to be sure we are lifting up, seeking out, and leading in when it comes to that. And this is an example of this actually in action. And so I want to shift gears a little bit because what I didn't touch on yet was our business employee resource groups. And so I know a lot of companies have them, right? There are different acronyms at different companies. At Kellogg, we call them BERGs. So that is Business Employee Resource Groups. And we have quite a few of them. They're listed here on the page. I won't go into detail on them all, but what they are employee groups, whether it's, Latino employees, African-American employees, K-Pride, et cetera. And they really are business resources. So we actually changed the name from ERGs to BRGs a few years ago. This was, that was already in motion before our team to really establish that the BERGs are business resources as well, right? And so what our team has done in the past 18 months is really help embed the BERGs into the marketing process. So beforehand, maybe like 2-3 years ago, the BERGs a lot of times were consulted on various initiatives with the marketers, but we found that it was sometimes ad hoc, right? Kind of here and there, not fully integrated. We said, hey, there's an opportunity to really collaborate even more closely with BERGs. And so that's what we've been doing. So in my role, when we have specific initiatives that relate to a certain consumer cohort, right, we then bring in the BERG leadership early on to provide feedback on the insight, the strategy, the plan, et cetera, so that the BERG leaders are with, lockstep with the brand team, the CNI team, the corporate social responsibility team, et cetera, from the get-go. And this has really, really improved our go-to-market strategy. And I think we have really strong programs there. So with that, I want to now shift gears here, and Ben will talk a little bit more about the K-Pride group and their specific vision and mission, because it is related to this case study we're talking about today.
Thanks. And, as a part of that go-to-market strategy and what we are internally to Kellogg and why we come together as a group, it's all related to our Kellogg vision and mission. So what you saw at the top with that Erica showed really cascades down into who we are and what we're going to be doing as a group. So we thought about that long and hard as we evolved that vision and mission as Kellogg over the past couple of years, and really wanting to integrate that because we want to support that vision and mission. And so here in KPA, we drive bold, positive, forward thinking with Kellogg partners, customers, employees, supporting equality for our community around the world, allowing for better days. So we got all the words in there of, that Kellogg stands for. We got everything in there for our community. And how do we do that through our mission? We create these opportunities, programming, representation, visibility, and acceptance internally and externally. We have to focus on who we are as a company, and I'll get to that in a second. And then, of course, what do we want to achieve externally with all of our stakeholders as Kellogg? And then creating a seat at the table, which is really ensuring that we listen to people, we create space and leverage our platforms, which is true allyship in ensuring that other people have equitable access to what they need, not just equality. So if you can go on, Erica. So what do we do? How do we achieve it? We have different distinct pillars within our business employee resource groups, set up by our ED&I team that they've really provided a really strong template for. And how do we want to be good partners to the business, good partners to folks like Erica, myself at my day job, and other cross-functional partners to bring this to life. Obviously, today we're focusing on the external marketplace, but of course, we have to be there and really build who we are internally at Kellogg. I wouldn't want to bring a program to market about the Black queer community, which is what we're doing with POP-TARTS, if first we weren't focusing on our policies internally at Kellogg. If people inside of Kellogg had no idea what that community looked like, or that they didn't care. We have to build a caring, loving community within each of our business employee resource groups around our missions and who we are if we're going to take something to market. There's nothing more hollow than doing the opposite. So that's what we focus on internally, and we do it through a variety of different ways, focusing on community space. We call it snack chats, where we kind of come together, share our experiences, learn about one another. And just because you're a part of the LGBTQ+ community and you're a letter in the alphabet, You don't know about yourself and your own history. This is just your identity, your gender expression, your so everything. You may not know your own history. So we want to provide people a community and a sense of place and a space to share that. We also focus on visibility across the community. So throughout the year, telling people what's going on in the community, important days and calls to action. But then in the marketplaces, we then transition from what we want to talk about internally in terms of education, take that externally. And over the years, we've had really strong partnerships with Erica's team on multicultural and inclusive, and prior to that with broadly integrated marketing and the brands at Kellogg to focus on building out our partnerships with GLAAD. We have other partnerships with Centerlink and PFLAG as a BERG, and we focus externally on combating bullying for LGBTQ plus youth with our brands. And so that's how we've focused on engaging in that space in an authentic way, which I'll talk about in just a second, around Pride and around Spirit Day. We actually started with Spirit Day a number of years ago with our GLAAD partnership, creating a platform called All Together, bringing together all of our cereals, everyone deserving that seat at the table, and creating that space for that conversation with our partners at GLAAD, which was wonderful because it actually focused first, as everyone does in marketing, on strong insights. And what the insight was that led us there was that kids and youth in the community across a variety of different moments, but particularly around breakfast as well, skip breakfast at home. They may not be in a home that is affirming of their identity and of who they are. And so it was an opportunity, just as we do across all of our brands, to bring people together around amazing food experiences. And what better way to bring people together than at that critical moment where kids need to be nurtured by their families, their friends, their chosen family, which we'll get to in a second. And that is how we go to market with our partners at GLAAD to combat bullying and create that space for people to come together. First, it was around cereal, and we evolved that over the years with a number of different brands. Here, of course, with POP-TARTS, which now we can turn to.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ben, for sharing a little bit more about K-Pride and the various initiatives and areas of focus there. And so with that, we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about the case study on POP-TARTS Pride. And Ben has been, just so close with working with the team on this. So he's going to talk about, most of the program, but I just want to tee it up here and just say this was very much a collaborative effort. So I remember we started talking about this back even when I was on the POP-TARTS team, so a couple of years ago. So, and it's exciting now to see how it's evolved and to see this in the market now. And so again, it's a collaboration between, the brand team, cultural inclusive, marketing, the Bergs, as well as the ESG group. And so, and then our external partners, GLAAD, Neon, et cetera, and some community partners in various cities across the country, which Ben will touch on a little bit more there later. So with that, let's dive into this case study on POP-TARTS Pride. And really the important thing here is, we wanted to create this with the community, not for or to the community, but with. And I think you'll see that throughout this example. So I am going to flip to the next slide, and then Ben, do you want to dive in? And I'll maybe jump in here or there if I have a comment, but take it away, Ben.
I think for every brand, it's about what's the brand, who's the target, what's the brand promise, what are the unique assets of the brand, what are the reasons to believe that a brand has with its target consumer. All of that with POP-TARTS was at the center of what we're doing. You can't just, like Erica said, make something for a community, especially if it was something that makes no sense for the brand and who the brand is. It would just read as something nobody needed to participate in. So POP-TARTS, of course, wants to focus on the Gen Z space. That's where, I grew up in musical theater and, ate brown cinnamon sugar POP-TARTS out of my vending machine on stage. It's right there in that cohort, So what's also super cool is that over the years, and if you've noticed it, if you're POP-TARTS ears, they've also invented a really cool opportunity to print art on top of the POP-TARTS, making an even more individual experience, which is even more so in the rationale of what the brand is trying to do, making it a personal experience. You see, there's a cross marketing and creating really personal experiences for people with food and all other goods and services that people are having. They want to have a personal experience with it. So this creates that opportunity. And then the approach for doing that is creating a message that really, resonates, and doing so with credible partners. So longtime partners with GLAAD, talked with them, really dug deep. What's important to the community right now? You need to understand. You can't, in the space. And if you dig deep on this particular community, I'm a part of the community, but digging deep in it is to understand what's needed now. Actually, Black queer voices and the Black queer experience is incredibly underserved in LGBTQ plus marketing, the actual community itself, and raising up stories and creators is really one of the most important and special ways that we can highlight the community, which often is neglected in terms of national organizations. And so working with them, we found Thaddeus Coates, an amazing artist that's a part of the Neon Collaborative at GLAAD, which focuses on queer and traditional Black spaces. And so we talked about ensuring that we would create this with him. He would it would be his brainchild, and we would print it on the Pop-Tarts and leverage it on the pack itself to create a beautiful experience for people that would create that full experience for consumers when they got it, highlighting that experience. And then dive in with the experience plan with them as well, in partnership with GLAAD, in partnership with Thaddeus. We did some amazing, cool things with customers around this and with consumers. So I'm excited to talk to you about that. We go to the next slide. How did we zone in on this particular topic? So we focused on Pop-Tarts foundations that we were kind of like leaning in again to that individual experience. You would be one of a kind. But the thing about Pride, and if you celebrated Pride, it's kind of like the biggest holiday of the year because it's a moment where you get to be a part of a community. During the pandemic, I think we all found that we had a lot of separation from people. And there's a lot of loneliness in the community and loneliness in the world. And so you can have that one personal experience, but you want to be a part of a community and you want to be able to engage with your community. So you're one of a kind, but you're never alone. So you have a big space, you have a big community to be a part of, and you can celebrate that with Pop-Tarts. And so we celebrate that individuality that people have, and it brings us together. And then what are the tensions within the community? So awareness of the community, like I mentioned, accessibility to those types of celebratory events. If you had a Queen's Pride, you have amazing Latino, LGBTQIA folks running around the streets, but it's not necessarily what's reflected on, Fifth Avenue Parade or out in other parts of the country. So being able to access this was really important. Getting that sense of community, being authentic. What does the community need? And then being able to have it be a celebration. There's a lot of strife in the community and a lot of things affecting the community right now across the country. And we want to celebrate and create a moment to recognize, that, as well as create a moment of positivity for the community to be excited. And so focusing on acceptance at that intersection for the community. You can move on. And so this is where we arrive on how do you bring all that together? How do you make it accessible? What's the focus for the message? And so we understand that the idea of a chosen family, which is a fundamental component of acceptance, and people finding if they may not be in an affirming home, they may not come from a community that's very large, they may not see others like themselves, that we want to create spaces where people can find their chosen family or celebrate their chosen family. So friends, new family, people that they create. And that is really on the rise. It's this idea of thriving. It's not good anymore just to be. You need to be able to thrive. So just being accepted isn't even necessarily enough anymore. It's that you find your chosen family and you can thrive. And so looking at community-based spaces and gatherings for this community to foster and celebrate that chosen family is key. And that's how we landed on leveraging the chosen family in the way that it then came to life through Thaddeus's artwork. So if you go to the next slide. And so that's how we came up with a block party, right? A traditional amazing space. You've ever been in Prospect Park in Brooklyn, you've seen cookouts, over the weekend. and I love being a part of those. But making that accessible for the Black queer community, that's something else. And being sure that you can live your true and authentic life wherever you would have lived your life anyway, and doing that with your chosen family, being able to celebrate that moment and thrive in that moment. So Thaddeus created this amazing artwork celebrating that, and that we then cascaded the iconography onto each of the Pop-Tarts. And so it's this beautiful message on the side as well, which is just Thaddeus's own quote about being engaged. We leveraged it on our pink lemonade. It's actually in my kitchen right now, delicious. And then we took it across a number of different consumer touch points, which we'll get to in just a second. So Eric, you can move forward.
And then one thing I just want to say on this
Oh,
is
yeah.
like, yeah. And when I first saw this artwork, I was like, oh my gosh, it's just so vibrant, so fun. And it's really the first time we've used an independent artist, right, to create work for our packaging. And so that's huge that we were able to collaborate and work with an independent artist on creating artwork, which is really a different approach than what we typically do. So really exciting to work that we were working on this, and I just love this artwork.
And he loved it too. I mean, that's the point too, right? Is like we can love it. It's new for us, but the community needs to see that effort, and that us doing that is us going all in and trusting the process. And it was absolutely wonderful. So I encourage you to follow him on Instagram and TikTok. He is so engaged in celebrating this art, and we are too. So it's super cool.
Yep.
So it worked. We launched it June 1st. At the start of Pride, went out with some tactics that would be familiar with you. Press releases, social support, national outreach. We had some drops of the boxes each week, then celebrating and selling them through our Instagram shop, and then money that we then donated to 4 different organizations. So another aspect of this program was to lift up queer-owned organizations, queer-run organizations that were really diving deep within their communities to raise up what they were doing in celebration of that chosen family, chosen spaces, and really exemplifying what the program was all about. So we have amazing organizations that we partnered with, from Destination Tomorrow, which is in both New York and Atlanta, out to the Salt Eaters Bookshop in San Francisco. Amazing people doing really good things, and creating awareness and leveraging our platform. Again, a key piece of allyship, which is our goal as KPA, and Pop-Tarts' goal of engaging this audience, is really leveraging that platform so that then these organizations could speak. And then throughout June, we sustained it, seeding those boxes with influencers, unpaid seeding, garnering kind of earned engagements within the community, and focusing it on the right ones. You don't need necessarily your A-list celebrity, you need the community. So sending it to the right people within the community who are engaged with GLAAD, who are engaged with these organizations. They may not have the biggest following, but they have the right following, and these are the people. So you don't need to communicate to someone who's going to appear on the Today Show just because it's on the Today Show. It won't be where your audience is. And so that's why we made sure, in partnership with GLAAD and Neon, to send these to the right folks and engage the right way. And then these are those organizations, and we sent each of them $10,000, to support them in their missions. And they're all wonderful. I hope you can check them out on Instagram. We had some great reels that they all recorded to engage, and that we then supported as well. And so they had inclusion in our media materials, and we sent them money as well, of course, to support their ongoing mission. So fantastic organizations, and we then dropped Pop-Tarts as a part of the sale each week to continue to excite consumers. You can, and a little bit about just how we chose them. Again, getting to who are the right organizations, focusing on chosen families, and are those gathering spaces where you can thrive as a part of the BIPOC LGBTQ+ community. So that's really who these organizations are. There's a ton as well that we looked at, and I wish we could support everybody, and I would spend $1 billion, but this was a fantastic way to start in on this type of partnership.
Yep, and I really love this community-based partnership. And one of the areas of focus of our CNI team is also making sure that we're really reaching out to key DMAs or markets, right, where diverse cohorts over-index. And so it's exciting to see that we were able to partner coast to coast with different organizations within the communities versus like a national approach. We are leaning in on specific cities and partnering with local small businesses. So that was a really exciting piece of this. And I encourage anyone who's in any of these cities to definitely check out these organizations and businesses.
That was a part of the accessibility of the program too, making something available on the Instagram shop for Pop-Tarts, spreading that through media, working with influencers that would cover geographic diversity, and then the organizations here as well, so that people could kind of see, feel, hear, touch the program wherever they were. And then, of course, Thaddeus was so engaged with us. Please follow all of his handles. He's amazing. He's also been doing some other amazing partnerships throughout Pride Month. So he is just such a creative talent. And I think the art speaks for itself. Erica mentioned it earlier at the top, really trying to celebrate the thrive nature about what his approach is to his art, things that bring joy to him and to all of us in the community. And then being able to celebrate the fun and ingenious nature of Pop-Tarts. So he took the brief and really dove in. So his compositions are, really powerful, but they're emotional. And so when we all first saw that, like Erica said, all you can say is that there's joy at that block party. And so it was, it leveraged all the uniqueness of Pop-Tarts. It leveraged the color palette of Pop-Tarts. So like, that's all there, but so is the meaning behind the program itself and where we really wanted to go. So it's just a little bit more about him, but please do engage with him on social.
Yep.
Yeah. You want to go to the next one?
Definitely.
That's it.
That's it. Yes. So that was our overview. Ben, thank you so much for walking through that program. And it's just really exciting to see how it all came together, right? I mean, we've been working on this for quite a while, and to really see this, actually, launched and in the community is really just so exciting.
Yeah, it takes a while to get something like this off the ground in the right way. You got to work through packaging. You're talking about food, and so getting it right there, getting the artwork done when it needs to go to print, and trying to get some level of an experience plan done in time in order for that to happen in a way that makes sense. So, and then actually launching it and doing it the right way. I appreciate the affirmation of it, both in the community and then elsewhere, especially as you think about these particular spaces where you're talking about social issues and other parts of going beyond a Pop-Tart as a Pop-Tart, but what is a Pop-Tart in the queer community? You have to get it right. And so analyses of these programs that people have been doing, or that the community has just organically said, is that we got it right. And it's like, I can sleep better at night knowing that I'm a part of the community and I didn't make something that was terrible, or that didn't hit the mark, or that didn't make real impact. So that was the most important to all of us in KPA.
Yep, exactly. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just go back to regular video. And I think we have maybe about 5 minutes or so. If there were any questions, Carrie, just let us know, and we would be happy to answer those.
I don't know where everybody else is from too, but I would love to hear that too, and what type of engagement they have in this space.
It doesn't look like a question, but Ben, Lauren has replied to your question about the ERGs, BRGs.
Yeah.
Just saying, this is great. Engaging operationally via marketing is awesome, instead of thinking of them as as an expense, or at best a recruiting tool. So she chimed in with that.
It is always a part of HR and talent, and it is incredibly important to create these spaces. And Walter, who is one of our ED&I leaders, I mean, it's all critical, to have those things for those reasons. but to be able to leverage it, no matter what your business model is, in a different way, also provides a much better experience to those members, so that you could create a club like K Pride and Allies, and we could all and create a common space, and it's important, and maybe we can talk about policies that are critical, but we're a food company. What better way than to bring us all together and leverage us, and we eat too. So how does that happen, and how do we eat, and how do we engage with the brands in a wonderful way in partnership with Erica and others? It's been amazing to do this.
Yep.
I also really, I'm sorry. I'm just joining the conversation now.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, Ben, the fact that you said kind of in the beginning, you didn't want to do any real campaigns about it unless you were living it internally. That was really awesome to hear. And it's a great thing to know you're starting at home is always a good.
Well, we check with our nonprofit. I mean, my day job is working with the nonprofit partners, and I dual hat here, but across the board, our other business employee resource groups do the same exact thing. Are we showing up for the community in a way that the community would recognize and is impactful? So with this program, are we showing up, talking with GLAAD, HRC, other stakeholders about what's going on in the issue space, and how are we showing up? We can create this Pop-Tarts experience, but do we have the policies and procedures inside Kellogg that reflect what's needed from the community? Maybe. We're also just kind of people, so we're not experts in HR policies, so ask them. Also externally in the country, what's going on? Are we showing up for the community in that way? And we made sure of that for any time that we've activated.
And we do have one more question from the Q&A from Lauren again. Curious, do your Bergs ever bring ideas to marketing rather than being a resource for marketing?
Yeah, you know what, and I'm actually really happy about this question. It's actually the comment the build I wanted to make, and this is that we're now involving our Bergs not only on like the commercial idea side, but also on innovation as well too. And so embedding them into the process. So yes, if the Bergs have ideas on the innovation side, when it comes to our food innovation, we have now established a process where we are involving them in the category innovation ideations for, new products, new flavors, et cetera. And as well, if they have other ideas, they can share that too. So it's now, again, like embedding into our existing process as well, so that they're able to, share their ideas, gain more traction, et cetera. So it definitely does go both ways now. We're still, in that journey, early in that journey, but we have established that. And so that's really exciting that the Bergs can get involved in that way.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Thank you both so much for joining us today. We really appreciated having you on and speaking and sharing your deck and your work. And I am suddenly craving a Pop-Tart. I don't know why.
Always. My husband ate 2 of them this morning. So